Okay, it's preparing to live stream. 1 sec. There's like a bar. Okay, now it's about to start. I just got to catch it. All right. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's weekly live Q&A. My name is danv, and today I got Scott Suggs, which you should be able to see here on the Zoom call. And both of us were basically the mentors at Ecom Freedom. And Scott here, I'm super happy to have him here because the fantastic guy, and he has an enormous amount of experience with selling on Amazon. He has his own Amazon FBA business, and he's basically $1 million e-commerce seller with Amazon FBA as well. And he is our head of Amazon. So he's our head mentor in the actual Facebook community for our Econ Freedom course. We do have an Amazon course, which is world-class. Like, we've been running that since 2017. And yeah, it's been amazing. And I'm super happy to have Scott on this week's live Q&A. And if you are new, if you just joined the live, basically we're going to hang around here. We're going to answer any questions that you have with Amazon FBA, entrepreneurship, Shopify, because Scott also has Shopify experience as well, just like myself. So we'll be here and we'll answer your questions, and it's going to be a fun time. So yeah, happy to have you here, Scott. You can maybe introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. So yeah, just like Dan said, I've been selling on Amazon myself for at the end of this year, actually be close to 6 years when I actually first started. So tons of experience as far as being on Amazon. And like Dan said, 7 figures in sales on Amazon, and I'm actively selling on Amazon right now. So, I know what it's like going through kind of the early kind of Wild West days of Amazon all the way up to the way it is now, which is definitely a little bit, changes on Amazon and stuff. So I think it's important anytime that you're, trying to help people with Amazon, you actually understand what's going on Amazon currently in the current environment. So yeah, happy to be here. Looking forward to answering some questions.
Cool. I don't know what, I can't see anybody in the chat. I don't know if it's actually live or not. I don't even know where it's streaming. Start sending us through.
I see some chat coming through.
You see some chat coming through, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I don't see any questions. Sorry, guys. Also, there's it's Halloween right now, and it's also nighttime here in Norway. So if you guys hear any background noise, there's people partying and having fun outside. So yeah, I apologize for that. But do you see chat? I don't see any chat. Are you on the chat box? If you
yeah, I see some chat coming through. I don't know if there's
okay. You can just take questions because I still have to figure out how to access that.
Yeah, I'm just on your actual YouTube channel, so I'm just watching the chat as it comes through. So
okay, cool. All right, yeah, we got people here. Okay, yeah. So there you go. Now I see the chat. Okay, guys. Now I see it. All right, cool. I see Janid, Ramin, Karen, Mike from Alabama. If you join, say where you're from, because that's always nice to see that we got viewers from all over the world. And obviously with e-commerce, with online business, with this whole thing, the whole idea is that you can actually have a chance at achieving freedom. Because no matter where you're from, it's never before has there been an opportunity where even if you're from, it doesn't matter any country in the world, if it's a first world country, if it's a third world country, as long as you have an internet connection and a laptop, you can actually create your business, work on it, and then achieve freedom. So yeah, we got Goofy from Arizona. I'm just reading the YouTube names. Ramen from California, Mauricio from Puerto Rico, Daniel from Russia, Nizam from Milwaukee. Cool. Awesome. So let's take Jeff's question first. So Jeff said, any recommendations around where to start? Amazon FBA or Shopify? Personally, I think I've answered this question a million times. And I think that the audience here, the viewers, would be even more interested in hearing your take on this, Scott. What do you think for someone who's starting out? Jeff is asking, which one would you start with, Amazon or Shopify?
They both have their benefits. I think one of the major things, and you might have an opinion on this, but I think one of the major things to look at is also your budget, right? If you just have a couple $100s to get started, maybe moving towards Shopify might be the place to kind of start and get used to e-commerce and kind of get a feel for it. But if you have a little bit of a better budget or kind of an interest in actually building a long-term brand, it's actually, you know, branded products and not just using like drop shipping or something like that, then Amazon's a great place to start. And then eventually you can expand your brand out onto Shopify, which is what I've done as well. So obviously Amazon takes up the majority of my sales, but I do get sales as well through my Shopify store. And then even more sales if I'm actively promoting it on like Facebook or Instagram through ads and things like that. So yeah, I would probably, I mean, again, for me, I think the biggest factor would probably be budget. You know, if it's like 500 or less to get started, probably Shopify would be best. And if it's like, you know, you have at least a little bit of money to buy inventory and build a brand and get designing done or anything you need to do to actually get yourself launched on Amazon, then Amazon's a great place to start because you actually have built-in traffic, which is nice. You know, if you're not running ads, you can still make sales, which is probably what the primary benefit of selling on Amazon, that built-in traffic that you get.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the biggest. When I answer this question, I think for most people starting out, they're like, okay, Amazon takes minimum $1,000, Shopify takes like 300. But the truth is that if you actually, like the way that I've been, you know, the way that I've been making videos for the longest time on and teaching e-commerce, and also the way that we do it in Ecom Freedom is like, you know, it doesn't matter if you start with Amazon or Shopify, it will cost you minimum $1,000, maybe 2 or 3, if you factor in your second order as well. Most YouTubers and people don't talk about it because, you know, they just want to sell courses, right? They're just like trying to paint this unrealistic expectation when in reality it is, you know, how much would you say to start an e-commerce? I think between, like, you can get started with $1,000 to $2,000 for sure. But then you got to like take into account your second order, which no one really talks about because, like, okay, if you're selling on Amazon, Amazon pays out every 2 weeks. And so it's like, you might not get the money in time, you know, it's bi-weekly paid. And so there's like Payoneer and stuff, but with Shopify payments, it's a different story. You can have it where it's more frequent. But you know, that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't matter what you start with nowadays. The goal is to build a brand, a product line. You're selling products that people actually want and that are valuable to, you know, a certain target market. And it doesn't matter if it's Amazon or Shopify. If you noticed, like the way that I make drop shipping videos, but it's not really drop shipping. It's actually like Shopify private labeling. And maybe you've noticed that, Scott, as well. Like it's more like, okay, yeah, you start off with drop shipping, but then you very quickly move into getting your logo on the product, because now you actually have a brand. You're not just selling, you're not just like, it's not like an online flea market, you know, where you're just reselling things. So yeah, I think like Scott said, which was the most valuable thing, like for the audience, like the biggest difference between Amazon and Shopify is the fact that on Amazon, all the customers are already there. That's a big advantage over Shopify. On Amazon, all the customers are there. And, you know, there's like right now, I was looking into it, there's 150 million Prime members worldwide. I think even more now, because that statistic was from last year. So there's 150 million people with their credit cards like plugged into their accounts. All they have to do is go on the site, click one button and buy, because it's a one-click, you know, they got like that feature, right, where you just click the button and buy it. So, and also most of Amazon is third-party sellers. It's not like Amazon or wholesalers, it's third-party sellers. And I think it's going to definitely be that way for a long time. Like, it's not like Amazon's not going to go and just, you know, erase all the third-party sellers. It's not going to happen. So yeah, I think to answer that question, if you want to just focus on finding a product, building a brand, Amazon, because all the customers are there, and then you can just learn how to find a great product, brand it correctly, and then launch the product and go through that whole process, which we teach in Ecom Freedom, Amazon FBA. We go very much in depth into that, and we talk about it on our live calls. So yeah, all that's in there. By the way, for the audience here, for everybody, if you guys have been interested in joining us at Ecom Freedom and joining the Amazon FBA program, and the cost has been too much, like paying $1,000, it's $999, right? So paying $999 to join, it was too much for you. We're actually launching a free trial for the course. So there's going to be a free trial, and the reason why we're doing that is because well, we're always thinking of ways of like, how do we make this more accessible to people? How do we show to people that our programs are actually like best in class, best in the world? And, you know, have great success stories and have like, you know, amazing reviews from people. And the only way to tell for someone is to actually go into the program and have a look inside. And so we're going to be launching that free trial. I'm working on getting that up as we speak. And so I think it's good, probably like, you know, in about 2 weeks, it will be up in about a week to 2 weeks. So if you guys have been interested in joining and kind of like doing a free trial, basically, I think it's going to be a 7-day free trial. You guys will be able to join, check it out. And if it's not for you, you can just cancel the free trial and then you won't pay anything. So that's going to be out in 1 to 2 weeks. And and also the link is down below. If you guys want to join and, right now without the free trial, because we don't have it yet, then you can join down below. The price of the program will be going up to $1,200 by the end of the year, because right now it's way too cheap for what it is, quite honestly. Because like you get mentorship from me, you get mentorship from Scott, who's been an Amazon seller for 6 years, as he said, who's done over $1 million plus in e-commerce sales. So like actually in the trenches and doing it. So yeah, that's about the program, but let's take some more questions. So what is an estimated budget to get started with Amazon FBA from Nizam? I kind of went into that, but I think let's get your take on this, Scott, because maybe you have something like, maybe like a different opinion, maybe from experience than me.
Yeah, I think it depends on, and I was looking at the chat, it's kind of funny. You have people that are going both ways, right? Some people are saying 100% Shopify, that's the way to go. There's some people saying Shopify can get frustrating, Amazon's the way to go. So, and I personally as well, I personally have friends that have created multi-million-dollar businesses both ways. One completely started on Shopify through their own e-commerce store and built it that way. The other one started on Amazon and built it that way. So it's like, honestly, both ways are fine. You can do it both ways. It's just, if you're doing one or the other, eventually you'll probably end up doing both, right? If you start on Shopify, you probably will eventually start selling your products on Amazon as well anyways, and vice versa. But
if you're successful,
once you succeed, you'll want to expand out and get more stuff. So I would say that, for Amazon, realistically.
Oh, by the way, Scott, sorry to interrupt you, but just to make it clear for people, why would someone who's successful, why would they want to expand? Let's say if they start on Amazon, why would they want to expand to Shopify?
Even though, Amazon, it's huge, right? It's a huge market, but you're expanding the amount of people that can get eyeballs on your product, right, through your own stores. So there's people out there that through advertising, you'll get in front of them and then might say, oh, I do like that product, or I do want that product, and they'll go buy when they might have never actually gone and searched on Amazon to find your product. So Amazon's very like buyer based, like they already know what they want most of the time when they go to search on Amazon. They're just looking for exactly what product they want to buy. Whereas like on Shopify, you can do more like disruptive advertising, like you can more put yourself in front of them and then get them to go purchase. And another big benefit is you build your own list of customers. So obviously you get their contact info, you get their address, you get their phone number, email, and all of that. And then you can market to them in the future, whether you want to market them for repeat purchases or new products, or the case may be. So, and then of course the opposite is you're on Shopify, you want to tap into that, millions and millions of customers that are on Amazon.
You have to
get in front of them to expand out. There's no reason not to do both if you're successful on either platform. But I would say that, realistically for Amazon, it depends, of course, on like, if you start at a super low budget, it's just going to be a very long time before you can actually scale up, because you're going to, sell a handful of units, you're going to have to buy again, sell a handful. It's kind of like, it's probably closer to like swapping stuff that, like Gary Vee talks about, like garage sales and stuff. Like it's very similar to that, where it's like, you're only going to get a little bit of money at a time if you start really small, but it's doable. Realistically, you'd probably want to do you might have a different opinion, maybe like at least like 2,500, probably around that range. And that includes, of course, some of your upstart costs. Like you want to get any designs done, you have your inventory order, and then you also have your next purchase you got to be thinking about, plus marketing or anything like that. So minimally 2,500. Ideally, of course, if you have more, that's great. But if you really want to tighten the belt and get started and at least have a little bit of money to have room for other stuff other than just inventory, 2,500 probably be about that range.
But what about all those people that, let's say, they only have about 1,000, they don't have like access to 1,000? Do you think, because I think this is a matter of opinion, I think there are people that have started successful businesses, I think even today, with like $500, it's possible. But yes, it's because then you're obviously, if you start with 500, that's assuming you find a product that's like super, super cheap per unit, you order a very, very small test order and it succeeds, right? And that's only going to be for the first order. So yes, it is possible. I think this is a question of a matter of opinion. And like Scott said, $2,500, that's definitely an amazing figure that we should all aim for. But if I was starting today, I remember when I was starting with Amazon, for me, $2,500, it was kind of a lot. Like 1,000, I'm like, yeah, okay. Like the number that like kind of made me get into it was like, I could start with 1,000. And so I think that's the biggest key because, for most people, they hear like 2,500 and they're like, oh, that's like too much. Like this is a write-off. I'm just going to go back to like my 9 to 5, or I don't know, maybe Shopify because they think it's cheaper. Right. So it really, I mean, we can say generally, I think we both have said, I think 1,000 to 2,500 is probably the sweet spot of starting. 1,000, yeah, you're not going to really have a lot of room for like PPC and things like that, which you will need. But the key is to start. I think if you start, the most important thing is to start. If you can start and kind of quit making excuses, like especially if you've been looking into e-commerce at Amazon for a very long time, just start. Obviously, if you have like $20, $100, you can't start. But like, if you have 1,000, if you have access to like 1,200, 1,500, then start, and then kind of like allow your circumstances, like, as they approve, things will get better, and then you'll have access to more capital. It might take, if you have a lower budget, it might take you a little bit longer to succeed. Instead of, let's say, succeeding in like 1 to 2 months, if you have a smaller budget, it might take you like 3 months, 4 months to succeed, because you will have to wait until you get paid and then to reinvest the product. And then you're going to have to relaunch maybe, which is not that big of a deal, So yeah, I think 1,000, 2,500 for Amazon, probably like you said, that's probably a good, like that's the sweet spot, I think, or like the range. Right. But at the same time,
yeah, like I said, it all depends on like the circumstance. Like if you know that's your budget, then you're going to have to order a very small amount of inventory. Maybe you're going to have your cut down on some of the stuff you would normally get, like cheaper packaging. Maybe you don't have only putting your logo on like a certain part of the packaging and not the product itself. Maybe you work with a trading company as opposed to working with the manufacturer. There's a lot of like options that could be done, but obviously the more you have, the better. It just gives you more room. But then on the flip side, if someone has $10,000 to get started, my advice to them would be like, don't dump all your money into, because on the flip side too, people are like, oh, I really like this product. I thought it was amazing. I put 10,000, 15,000 into it, and then they ran into a problem and it flopped and whatever. So, if you're going to be ordering like 500 to 1,000 units, 1,000 probably is not going to, unless it's like an extremely cheap product, but it's probably not going to be enough, right? So you're going to have to say, okay, I'm going to have to order maybe 50 units or 100 units just to get started with that budget, and then make it work, and keep the belt tight on your budget, and then gradually expand as you flip that into more money and flip it into more money. If you want to get started with more inventory, of course, you're going to need more budget and more money for that as you get going. So like Dan said, you got to work with your circumstances and make it work. But the point is you can make it work no matter what it is. Like you can make it work. You just have to be smart about how you go about doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, I completely like you mentioned, that was an amazing fact that you mentioned. Like, yeah, if you have like 10,000, because, I was like, yeah, the more the better. But then I completely forgot about like the fact that someone who's brand new, they don't have experience. And like the only way to build experience, yes, you can join the best course in the world. You can get the best mentorship from the best, people, but like experience is still something that you have to get on your own. And starting with 10 or 20K, to be honest with you, I've known people and I've seen people who they've dumped like 20K and they made some stupid, simple mistake where they invested into some like product that was like trademarked or something like that. And then that 20K is gone, just like that. By the way, these mistakes, and that's the point of Ecom Freedom. The point about like of our program is to give you every single step that you need to, build a 6 to 7 figure Amazon FBA business. The goal is actually 10K a month, in like 10K a month, like basically get your first product up and running in 30 to 45 days from the time that you joined. That's obviously depending on like the manufacturing lead times, but so 30 to 45 days. And then, within 3 to 6 months, hitting 10K a month in sales. That's the goal of the program. And we've had many people hit that at the same time. And also I was going to mention with the program, also the goal is to, one of the biggest goals is to like, since I literally show every single step, me and Scott both show every single step, and Scott does it in the mentorship as well, because you get one-on-one access to Scott through Facebook. You get like weekly live calls with Scott and with myself. Basically, one of the biggest value points of the course is the fact that like by joining and by watching it, 99.9% of the expensive, dumb mistakes that you can make as a beginner are gone. The painful mistakes, the mistakes where you're like, wow, I feel so stupid because I just wasted like 5 or 10K and I could have easily prevented this, So that is something that you won't experience in Ecom Freedom. And that's, I think, one of the biggest like selling points of a course anyway. Someone, Ahmed asked, where can I find the program? You can find it down below. So you can buy it there. The price will be going up to $1,200 by the end of the year. Actually, it's already like the end of the year. It's October 31st. So probably like in the next 30 to 45 days or so. We're also going to be launching the free trial in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So you'll find it on the same page there. And basically that way you're going to be able to try out the course. And if you like it, you stay. And if you don't like it, you leave without paying. So someone asked an interesting question. I wanted to go back. Let me see here. Someone else asked about Shopify, Amazon. Yeah, we already answered that question, Anu, just 10 minutes ago, probably, if you just rewind. Okay, yeah, Gabrielle asked, and this, I love this question because it's a very common question. I've been in this industry for years. I've coached, in the programs, I've coached tens of thousands of people on my YouTube, millions, if you look at the views, right? But Gabrielle asks, if I were to follow your course step by step, what are the chances of me succeeding? And Scott, I'll allow you to answer this because since you're, you've also coached tons of students in the program, and you've probably gotten this question as well. What do you think? What are like the chances of succeeding, or like what would be your answer to that?
It kind of it's one of those questions like pretty hard to answer, right? And to a degree, because it's all circumstantial based on the person. You can give 5 people the exact same information, and some people will do well, and some people might not do well with it, right? So it just kind of depends on the person as well, and the action they take and the way they interpret the information, because there are some variables like the product you pick and what you do for marketing and how you create your listing and all these different types of things. So there's a lot of variables. So it's not like something you can just say, yeah, 100%. This is, 4 out of 5 people succeed, and that's just like standard or something, right? Like it's just going to be variable, right? So the nice thing about having a course or like having some mentorship, it kind of just helps eliminate or kind of lessen some of those errors that you could make, right? So it's kind of like most of them, most of them, right? So if you run, you can figure out pretty much anything yourself. Honestly, you could figure out to be a director of a movie, but unless you kind of like really get in there and learn and mentor from a lot of people in like Hollywood, for example, they worked under someone for a while and then eventually they kind of like got their own thing. So in any industry you look at.
Are you going to, and I agree with you. I think most things you can. I used to say, yeah, you can figure out everything nowadays. But at the same time, it's like, will I trust a surgeon to do surgery on me who figured it out themselves, by looking at YouTube videos?
There might be some good ones, but there's, some good videos, but yeah, exactly.
It's just like following along the YouTube video. And yeah, so I think.
But it's like anything, it's a risk. Entrepreneurship's a risk. There's people open a restaurant and they fail, and they might open a new one and that one succeeds. And kind of for me, like the first product I ever did, I don't sell the first products I ever launched on Amazon anymore. And it didn't fail. It actually did decently, but I just made some money back with some profit. And I said, you know what, this product is, I don't see the future of this product for me. Like it wasn't something I really wanted to do. So I, pivoted to a new product and went forward and did better than what I did with the original product. But sometimes if you don't succeed at first, that experience that you get can then lead you to success in the future. Is why, as Dan mentioned, it's important to just get started, because then you kind of learn for yourself what it actually takes to make a successful product. But yeah, the mentorship, having a defined path to follow just helps eliminate all the distractions. There's a lot of distractions on YouTube or other places, and ads and YouTube and all that. So a lot of distractions, shiny objects, different methods that you can follow, but just kind of keeping focused in on a path that you can actually follow, and then getting mentorship. Even from Dan, I don't know many courses where the actual founder of the course still does multiple
Still does
per
the
month
mentorship 3
live
years
Yeah,
later.
they don't do it 3 years later. They're not doing the mentorship anymore. So I mean, that's just crazy. Like you can actually still get mentorship, not just from me, but also from Dan directly, which is pretty crazy even now. Because most people, they drop it, they do their launch, they kind of have maybe a couple coaching calls, and then they kind of drop off the mentorship, or they just replace it with someone else, but they don't do it themselves anymore.
That's the problem, I think. And that ties into, I've never looked at since I started on YouTube, and I mean, since I started with this whole thing and with e-commerce, and that segued into Ecom Freedom, I never put myself in this camp of all these other gurus and YouTubers, because all of them, the reputation, especially now, they're very questionable, very, sketchy. You buy something one day with mentorship, and then the next month the mentorship's gone, so it's like all these things kind of I was conscious of it, and I knew people that were doing it, and I knew what was best, because I have been, just like yourself, I have been in the shoes of a beginner, and I know how it feels when it's like, okay, I want to join a program and I want to get mentorship, but which one do I join? Because especially now, I hear this all the time, some of our students, because they make a welcome post in our group when they join, and they say hey, my name is, Sam, I'm from Virginia, and I joined here because I want to achieve freedom. A lot of the time, especially recently, I've noticed that there's been this kind of pattern where someone would join, they post in the welcome post and be like, I was so confused for 6 months. I was watching all these guys and girls on YouTube, and I was getting bombarded by ads, and it was so hard to pick out, which one, because, if someone only has 1,000, let's say, for a course or something, or a limited starting budget, they really have to choose correctly, or else, you pay for a course, and then if it's the wrong one, you're like, oh, well, shit, I'm screwed. So, there's been this pattern I've noticed. And then, when people actually I remember this one post, I forgot his name, but he was like, yeah, I was skeptical, but then after I read reviews on Econ Freedom, and then I joined the program, and then, wow, as soon as I got into the course, and as soon as I saw how this was set up, as soon as I saw the content, it was out of this world. And so, that's always nice to hear. And that's also why we're doing the free trial. Actually, I wanted to share some student results here. I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll keep taking more questions. We're going to go for a while here, because I like to do these, especially because we have Scott on, who just, guys, you have to understand, Scott has more experience than 99.99999% of other people who do e-commerce, because Scott's been doing it for 6 years. That's literally longer than me. I started in 2017. So having Scott as a mentor in our program, having Scott as part of the team, it's invaluable. And I'm honored to have such e-commerce talent on the team. Guys, ask your questions. And thank you, Scott, for being here, because like I said, it's amazing to work with you, and to have the students get mentorship from yourself as well. So I'm gonna share some student success here. Let's see. I got a folder, so we'll just open some screenshots. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to kind of quickly, just kind of rapid fire some of these questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to try to go back to the beginning. I don't know if these people are still on or not, but let me see if there's some early questions.
Okay, I found the folder.
All right, I'm going to do this one real quick. This will be a short answer. Someone asked about liability insurance, product insurance. Amazon requires that. I don't remember exactly what the exact number is. But if I remember correctly, it's if you sell 20,000 in a year, something like that, they want you to have a policy. It's pretty, if you just search on it on Amazon, or search on Google, Amazon insurance requirements, it will be there. But they have certain ones. I think it's $1 million, because I have an insurance policy. I can't remember. I think it's $1 million liability insurance policy. But as far as the cost goes, it will depend a lot on your product and how many sales you do per year. Right, that's kind of what the insurance company is looking at. They're looking at your product, what category it's in, and how many sales you're actually doing. Because you're selling a tiny amount, you're at a low risk. You're selling millions of dollars a year, you're at a higher risk, because you're sending more products out into the public. Yeah, you just have to go to an insurance broker. There's a lot, search Amazon insurance broker or something like that, and you fill out a form, and they'll tell you what your yearly premium is, then you pay it. Mine's in the thousands. It's unfortunate, but based on the size and the products I have, it's in the thousands of dollars a year for my liability insurance. But you don't have to worry about when you get started. Like I said, Amazon doesn't require it right when you start. You have to reach a certain level before Amazon officially requires it.
So I got the folder with the screenshots here. So we got, Zoom put their toolbar here, so I can't really. 1 second. Just stop the share. Okay, there you go. All right, so we got Abdi Aziz here. Abdi Aziz, he posted this recently, and then I think he wrote here, product research differentiating your product from the competition is the key to being a successful seller on Amazon, which is actually the biggest thing that we teach in Ecom Freedom. And, if you're looking on YouTube for e-commerce information, if you're looking on YouTube for like anything, Amazon, Shopify, you'll notice that, and I can say this proudly, like if you look at Shopify, for example, I was the one that created the branded dropshipping strategy, which everybody is doing now. Everybody is copied and claimed that it's theirs. But if you look at the date of when my video was made, like it was obviously me. And going into that, what was even branded dropshipping? That was in Shopify. I took my knowledge from Amazon FBA, and when I got into Shopify and I was starting a new brand there, I was like, how do I, there were so many problems with dropshipping at the time. It was like, okay, if you're 3 weeks shipping, no logo on the product, no brand. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. On Amazon, we have logos, we have 2-3 day prime shipping. Why would someone go and buy something on Shopify? So I went and I fixed those, like I figured out a way to like solve those problems. And, that was the branded dropshipping strategy that I created. But my point is that, like doing things right has always been a priority for me. And especially building like the biggest focus in Econ Freedom in our programs is building a valuable brand, not just like selling some bullshit online, because anyone can sell some bullshit online and then you're not going to make money for like longer than 6 months, So yeah, Abdi Aziz here, 5,000, which is amazing in revenue. He joined the program, I think at the time, either it was 500, like a year or two ago, but, or if it was 1,000, which it is at now, and the price is going to keep going up because it's getting better and better. Turning that into a business with 5,000 a month in sales, right? That's like the ROI on that is insane. It's insane. And I'm not sure about the lifestyle that Abdi Aziz is living now. I'm sure that it's significantly improved. He's probably able to quit his 9-to-5 job if he was. He's probably not worried like so many people are nowadays with COVID, with the pandemic, and with like all these issues of people losing their jobs and not knowing what the hell is going on, like instability worldwide. The amount of people that are going to fall into poverty and into like the scarcity state in the next few months I think is going to be crazy with the second lockdown. So we're happy to do this. We're happy that our programs are actually changing people's lives. And here we have, I'll just choose like another random one here. Okay, Joshua. So Joshua says, hello, just to give you some context. So he said, in August, Amazon took down my listing, which by the way is like, there is no perfect business model, right? So like on Amazon, yes, if you start an Amazon business, Amazon does control your entire business. And both me and Scott, we've had experience with listings being taken down, right? Like I'm sure you have, Scott, right?
Yeah, I had just a couple weeks ago, I like looked on and 2 of my products were gone, and it got fixed within a couple of days. But it just happened. It got put back up, but it happened. But you got to persevere. You got to push through.
Exactly. You're not just gonna like put your hands up and kind of like throw the towel in and just like kind of be like, okay, well, Amazon ain't worth it anymore. No, because like what are you gonna do, right? As I've discussed and as I've mentioned, like if I was starting today fresh, brand new, and I'm not saying this just because we have programs on Amazon or Shopify. I'm saying this truthfully. If I was starting today, brand new, I would do the exact same thing that I did, which is get into e-commerce and start an Amazon FBA business. Well, people ask me Amazon or Shopify. I would probably start just like I did. I would start with Amazon because why? Then I don't have to learn the whole Facebook ads and marketing side of things. I can just focus on selling a good product. Scott, what would you start with if you were starting today? Would you also start with Amazon?
I would probably still start with Amazon just because that's my wheelhouse. I'm most familiar with it. I was like, I really wish I knew what I knew now back 6 years ago, because I'd be like probably about 5 times even the size that I am now, just because there's so many more like loopholes and like things you could kind of do that you can't do now for launching products and stuff. But yeah, I'd probably start with Amazon as well.
But let's say you knew nothing. Let's say you knew nothing and all you knew was just like, okay, on Amazon, I don't have, I can just focus on like finding the product and all the customers are already there. I just have to figure out a way to rank on page one. And then you also do that on Shopify. You have to learn how to like actually get people to actually visit your store. Like with, not having your knowledge, what would you start with, Amazon or Shopify?
For me, probably still Amazon, just because to be able to tap into that kind of built-in marketplace. I feel it's easier. And also too, I will say, well, on Amazon, you don't control the customer, you don't really control your business. You can get shut down or whatever. Well, it's also true of Shopify as well. I mean, a lot of people are kind of finding out, especially recently with the election. I know a lot of people are getting like their accounts banned or kind of shut down, even though they're selling legitimate products, not doing anything against the rules. But you're kind of at the mercy of your advertising platforms, right? If like Facebook just shuts down your page or shuts down your business manager, and what are you going to do then? I mean,
all these
you
things.
can I mean, there's always something that you could look at and be like, well, they both have their pluses and minuses. Like on Shopify, it's faster to scale faster. Like you can kind of get in and scale faster because it's just based on your advertising mainly. So you could kind of get in and you can start with a couple dollars a day. If it's working, you could scale up to thousands of dollars a day pretty fast. Whereas on Amazon, it takes a little more time to kind of build up. So you have no reviews, you got to go build up some reviews and get your ranking built up. But then the nice thing is once you do that, you have organic sales coming in. You don't have to worry about
have to pay for
running
sales.
ads.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for sales. I mean,
Yeah.
when I just got back from a trip, vacation for a week, and I didn't bring my laptop and I didn't do anything with my Amazon business other than make sure it was still running fine. Check myself, make sure sales are still going, and make sure that nothing emergency came up. But my sales stayed exactly the same. That didn't go down. My business didn't blow up. I didn't have to worry about checking ads or refreshing ads or anything like that. And I still made the same amount of money on vacation that I did off of vacation. So, I mean, that's a benefit. That is one benefit, major benefit of Amazon for sure.
Scott, me and you have been, internet entrepreneurs for years, right? For years. And I think that it's easy to forget how crazy it is. For most people, people that are not like us who have not, kind of gotten into internet entrepreneurship yet, how crazy it is for most people to, experience that where like you start a business, let's say Amazon, just like you did, and you were able to, you do work on a day-to-day basis. You optimize your PPC, you're doing product research, maybe, things like that, answering customer emails, messages. But then, you decided to go on a vacation for a week to Mexico. You were hanging out on the beach, and like you didn't even bring your computer, and you didn't have to stress. Like your sales stayed the same. You were still making passive income on that, when you were on the beach. And like I think, a huge thing for most people, that's like massive, right? And I'm even like, yeah, what do you mean? That's normal. When you start a business, like, yeah, like when it's up and it's making money. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing. But that's, I mean, the Dan of 3-4 years ago would be like, oh my God, you can start a business and you can like, set it up in like a way where it's like automated enough where I can like take, I can travel and things like that. Like that's, I think obviously it's huge. Like, when you were on that trip, did you feel anything like, wow, I'm so grateful that, I have figured out this way of like, setting up this lifestyle this way where I'm an entrepreneur and have an Amazon business and, I'm able to like make kind of like passive, semi-automated income, because there's nothing that's really automated. Anyone who tells you that's automated, it's not true. Right. But, cause you still gotta you can't just forget about your Amazon business. A year later, it's going to be gone. Right. So,
Absolutely.
but maybe share how that felt. Like, were you like happy and grateful, or were you like, cause you've been doing it for so long, you're like, I do this normal?
I feel like it's a combination of both, right? Where it can become very easy that after you've been doing something for so long, it just kind of becomes the new normal for you. And it becomes like not as impactful, but you got to kind of like take a second and just sit there and be like, grateful for what you're actually able to be, doing. And it doesn't even take that much, you don't have to build $1 million business to achieve that. And I think that's what like a lot of people kind of miss, even let's take it down to like a very small amount of money. Like if you could just have a sustainable business with good organic rankings, so you're not spending a ton on PPC and all of that, and you're just making like $5,000 to $10,000 a month in revenue, realistically, you could make, that could be anywhere from $1,000 to like $3,000 a month in profit that you just have there, right? And even if you're still working, and the nice thing, I mean, realistically, unless you build like a giant, a lot of people kind of take it to the next level. Like for me, it's just me, and I'm kind of like it that way. Like I don't really want to build a giant Amazon business where I have to have a team and I have to, have VAs and a warehouse or whatever, might be the next step up. Because I know people that launch 60 products a year, or more sometimes, they're just a huge business and they do huge volume, but that's just not really what I'm looking for. I kind of like, yes, I kind of like fit your lifestyle as well. So yeah, I mean, even just like an extra $1,000 to $5,000 a month in profit is huge. Even if you're still working a full-time job, that gives you the freedom to, have more investments or to take vacations or not worry as much about losing your job, because you have that replacement income to be there as well, which is always nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest things when I was getting into entrepreneurship, Scott, was like, because I was reading all the books. I was reading the 4-Hour Workweek, and I was reading, all the books that I talk about a lot on my channel, like The Secret, Think and Grow Rich. And I realized when I learned, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad too. That was like the first one. What was the first book that you read that got you into like entrepreneurship? I assume it was a book.
Yeah, I mean, for me as well, my dad was a big influence on me as well, because he had his own business. So I kind of had that to a degree as well, just like seeing someone that did that. He was in real estate, but I remember it was Rich Dad Poor Dad. He actually got Rich Dad back, and this is back when I was like probably, I don't know when it came out. I was like less than 12 years old, if I remember. I mean, it was like I don't know how old I was, very young, and I think it was on like a cassette tape or something. I don't remember exactly, but I remember, yeah, that was like the first one that I started with way back when.
Yeah, it was the same one for me. And in Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about this concept of like not selling your time for money. And for me, that was like, what do you mean? That's what everyone does. No, everyone just sells their time for money. Like, what do you mean? Everyone gets paid per hour. That's how you make money. And then, I had this paradigm shift of like, oh, wow, you don't actually have to sell your time for money to live a great life. And actually, if you want to live a great life, you should figure out a way to make money without having to sell your time for it, like sell your time. And so one of the biggest realizations that I had was I'm like, if I start this business, if I start this Amazon FBA business, and let's say I kept saying this, I remember this, and I kept saying this to my friend because we were both starting Amazon businesses together. I kept saying this to him, and I was like, if I only make $2,000 per month in profit from this business in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, like that to me is more than someone making 6 figures at their job. Why? Because I have $2,000 per month of clean, profit that and I can be location dependent. I can go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to actually show up to my job, because even if you're, how much does the president of the United States makes? Well, I don't know. Last time I checked, I don't know about Trump, but last time I checked, the president this was in Obama times. The president had a salary of like $400,000, I think, per year. And so, if we take that as like the absolute maximum that someone can make in a 9 to 5, okay, maybe 500K, maybe $1 million if you're like a CEO. Well, you still, if you don't go to work, you're not going to get paid. Like if you don't do your job, you're not gonna get paid. So that's the thing. And to me, I'm like, even if I only make an extra 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a month in profit, I'm gonna be so happy because I can start actually living the life of my dreams. I can start traveling, for me. And I was like, later on, buy the nice things if I want to buy the nice things. And I definitely did buy the nice things. But for me, the biggest thing was like, just that extra few thousand. I mean, like for most people, even right now in like these very difficult times, an extra 1,000 a month of profit is huge. It's like exponential how much stress that takes off someone's mind. And yes, even though it does, like when you're starting a business, any business, there is risk involved. Like, yes, you do have to, risk money. But the thing is that, I mean, there's 2 ways of doing it. You can just kind of try to figure it all on your own and just like risk your money, kind of like throw it, the saying, like throw shit at the wall, see what sticks. You can do that. You can follow that approach, or you can, follow like a proven step-by-step process that's been laid out to you by people who have done it, who have been doing it, and who, have gone through all like the hurdles and the obstacles that someone who's starting out has gone. So obviously approach number 2 is that's actually the one that I took as well. Like when I was starting out, I took a handful of courses, and none of them really they weren't world-class or anything. I think that's how you started as well, Scott, right? You got into a course or a few courses, right? this was like a long time ago, right? Several years ago.
Yeah. I started out with a course, and I think, I mean, a lot of people I know are successful. They all bought a course, even if like they went through it and never looked at it again. It kind of got them started on the path. Because once you get up to like a certain level, then you say, okay, well, now I need to know a little bit more about this, and you can invest more money into another course or a mastermind or where the case may be. And I still continue my education now. If I see something from someone that I know and respect, and I'm like, oh, cool, I want to like to hear what they have to say about that. I want to make sure, I'll still even buy stuff now, even though I'm kind of, I wouldn't have to,
it's huge.
But I still invest. I still invest in education even now.
It's huge. I think, one of the core principles, if we talk about success as a mindset, and if we say that millionaires have what the common thing between them is, like the mindset, right? They have this same mindset where they're not all the same people, but they have the same kind of mindset. Part of that mindset is you have to be a lifelong learner. There is no successful person who decided, one day, oh, my education's over. I'm just going to stop learning, and I'm going to stop learning from the best. And, I don't need to. I've learned everything I need to know, and I'm just going to keep making money. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Like the world there's almost like this karma, and whether you believe it or not, but it's like, whatever you put into something, that's whatever effort you put in anything, you'll get it back you'll get it back 5 times, 10-fold, 100-fold. That's been my experience in my life. And so, like Scott said, I also every year I have a certain budget that I allocate for masterminds and improving myself in every single aspect of my life. And sometimes if I don't find something, like I'm not going to go and spend just to spend. But basically what I'm saying is, I think every single successful Amazon seller that if we both look at just people that we know or students, obviously who have joined the course, like they all invested in themselves. They all took a course, and they weren't arrogant enough to assume that they can figure everything out themselves. Because just by saying that, I'm going to figure everything out myself with all the free information out there, you are violating the core principle of the success mindset, or one of the core principles, which is being a lifelong learner and learning from mentors, learning from the best. You're violating that. You're having this, like, you're displaying the sense of arrogance. You're saying like, oh yeah, like I can just learn all this stuff myself, and all these other people who succeeded by taking courses, I'm better than them, or like I'm smarter than them. You're almost saying that in a way. And maybe, I don't know, Scott, maybe if you like agree or disagree with me, but that's what I think, and I would never have been able to start without investing in courses. Never in my life. I would have literally, my first product would have gone up, and I wouldn't have even known what tools to use. I would have just like done Amazon a la like 2010, where they looked at like BSRs and stuff to launch, So like when you started, by the way, did you have any tools around? Because when I started in 17, we had Jungle Scout already. So when you started, how did you guys do it? BSR?
Yeah, I actually, I'm trying to remember how I kind of found my first product. Yeah, it was, I mean, a lot of times then it was like, back then it was like, oh, find something the top 100, right? They'd always say like, go to the top 100 products, start there as the most demand. Whereas like flip side now, people like avoid, don't do the top 100 products, because, it's just crazy to try to get into those type of products. So, but I remember finding my product, the very first one I did, I just kind of was like, search around for different keywords and stuff. And I kind of came across it, and I was like, oh, there's not really that many people fulfilling this market right now, is a little bit open. And I was like, well, let's just jump in. I kind of like made an instant decision. I think it's another thing too, if you like, especially on Amazon, like you could think you found the perfect product, but by the time if you take like 3 months to launch it, I guarantee you, if you found the perfect product, like someone else has probably found it too, right? So if you find something you like and you want to get into, like, you got to kind of pull the trigger and get moving on it, so you can take advantage of it. But yeah, someone else here asked as well, is like, does your course cover taxes? And I know that you just released into both courses basically a whole nother course almost, right? Into both, and help cover like taxes and legal structure, which is something that a lot of pretty much all courses that kind of ignore that part. They just kind of focus on the actual Amazon or whatever. But
I'm going to show you, actually. I'm going to go on the course portal. And we're always like, I'm dedicated like no one else to my students and to the people that place their trust in in Ecom Freedom, because we are trying to build the number one platform in the world to learn how to start a successful online business, not just e-commerce. Right now we're doing e-commerce, but in the future, it's more going to be mindset, and it's going to be other online businesses where we're going to bring in, other experts. Cause obviously like I know e-commerce, I don't know other things. But that's the goal. Like I want to build like this number one platform where anyone in the world can learn how to become successful and improve their life and all conditions, and not just, we'll start with money and like online business, but then also move into like, especially mindset. Like for me, mindset's always been huge. It smelled like burning for a sec. It's like Halloween. I know people are going nuts outside. But so basically, so I'm going to show the Econ Freedom Mba, which is a course that like earlier this year, I was like, okay, what can we do? What can I do that will massively improve the I guess the chances of success, or the success rate of our programs? And I realized that most people, they lack those fundamental skills of an entrepreneur that a successful entrepreneur has, which is like, not only the mindset part, like how to, like literally, like a lot of people, they just don't, they don't know the principle of taking calculated risks and how to take calculated risks. Like so many people, I didn't know how to do this before. I didn't even know how to like what a calculated risk was. And I didn't even know why I should even care about that, but it's huge, right? So one thing that I've learned in entrepreneurship is like, and that I describe in Econ Freedom Mba, there's an entire lesson on this, is successful entrepreneurs, they invest into things that there's an unlimited upside and a limited downside, which is Amazon FBA business is. An example is, okay, if you join a course, you join Ecom Freedom, you get a product up and running. Okay, it's going to cost you $2,000, $3,000, let's say with the product and everything, with the inventory, including the course. Okay, $2,000, $3,000, that's how much money you're quote unquote risking. What's the upside though? Well, the potential upside is that you have a 6-7 figure business down the road. And I would say that's an unlimited upside because, if it's successful, I mean, it's unlimited. And the downside is, okay, well, the downside is you lost the money, right? You can also break even, that happens most of the time because on Amazon, there are just so many customers that, even if your listing is not on the first page, you'll still get sales and eventually you might sell your product out. You might lose some money. It really all depends. Every single scenario has happened, to both to me and to Scott and to our students, and to everybody who's selling on Amazon. Everyone's success journey is unique, but that's the thing. Like successful entrepreneurs, they invest into things with an unlimited upside and a limited downside. I'll give you an example of the flip side. What's something with unlimited downside and limited upside? A 9-to-5 job or going to university and doing that whole thing. So an example is, if you go to school, okay, so what's the unlimited upside, or what's the upside? The upside is if you go to school and do the traditional path, the upside is, okay, when you graduate, you'll get like a, $50K, $60K per year job, maybe $100K per year job if you're like a developer. That's like the top of the top. You're not going to get $1 million per year job when you graduate. There's no way. There's no way. So that's the upside. It's a very limited upside. You still have to sell your time for money, and you're by no means going to get rich at all. Like you will be a time slave, so that's for sure. What's the downside? Well, the downside is unlimited. You can go to school, spend all those years and, work your ass off and come out with a huge line of credit, come out with a huge student debt, which I had, and I didn't even finish school. Like I had 40K of debt and I dropped out. I'm like, hey, I still have to pay this back. So coming into e-commerce and doing this whole thing, that's what allowed me to pay that money off. And it's funny, I paid that off in one payment. And I knew everyone was telling me and around, they're like, oh, you're gonna have to pay this off for the rest of your life. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna prove you all wrong. I'm gonna pay this shit off in one payment. And that same year, 2017, I paid it off. I remember making that transfer was so satisfying for me. It was so like, when I moved that 40K from the account into the like the line of credit, it was like my whole world changed. But, because it goes against like what everyone thinks, you pay off student loans for like 10, 20 years. But yeah, so, going and like down the traditional path and getting a job, that's something with very limited upside and an unlimited downside, because the worst part, the worst possible scenario of that is, oh, you can go to school, get into debt, and then end up on the street. You can literally become homeless. That's literally the worst if we look at it with best and worst case scenarios. Obviously, it's an exaggeration, but has that happened before? Obviously, yes, it has. There are many students that are below the poverty line in the United States and all over the world, right? In the United States especially. I mean, the student debt in the US, I don't know, it was like 1.2 trillion or something, I think, last time I checked. And they're talking in this election, about, or they were talking, I don't think they are anymore, but they were talking about like some candidates were saying like, writing off the student debt. You can't just erase the student, who's going to pay for that, right? It's a whole separate topic. But, so that's something that I taught in the Econ Freedom Mba. So that was the mindset part of it. Like, so those specific things of like that limited upside, or sorry, unlimited, taking calculated risks and making decisions where you have unlimited upside, limited downside. And then also I went in depth on taxes. So no matter what country you're from, because we have students from all over the world, taxes, what are they, how to pay them, how to find your tax rate, how to know exactly how much you're gonna have to pay, bookkeeping, accounting, LLCs, what the best tax structure is for you, no matter where you're from. And I go specifically in depth on the following countries. So the United States, Canada, the UK, and actually Germany and all of Europe. So even like Norway and things like that. So Canada, US, UK, Europe, Australia. And then there's like a section for the rest of the world, basically, which is still very in depth. So I'm going to show you that now. It's in our portal here.
Yeah, and while you're pulling that up, I'm just going to answer another quick question. Someone asks, like, do you need a business to actually get started? The answer is no. You can start as an individual on Amazon. It's one of the options when you sign up. Just an individual, sole proprietor, and you can get started. And then once you kind of proof of concept and you kind of get going, then you can create an LLC or a corporation, depending on where you live, and get started. So you don't have to. If you already have an LLC that you want to use for your own business, do it. But if you don't, don't let that be something you have to block you or save up money for. You can start without a business and then get going. Change it later. You can always you could update. I started as an individual on Amazon, and then I updated my business info once I had it.
Yeah, and so that's actually where the Econ Freedom Mba, which, by the way, we're looking at inside the Econ Freedom Amazon FBA course, which the link for is down below. You can purchase it there and then join us. But this is the course, and basically, literally, like all the videos are here. Module 1, 2, 3. I just recently updated this for 2021. So I mean, everything is here. Literally everything. It's huge. The amount of work put into this from our team and from myself, and from Scott on the mentorship side, it's massive. And then if I look at the end here, so here we got like the Millionaire Mindset Secrets course, which is a mindset course that I made, which basically I sit down and like it's kind of like just like a one-on-one kind of like conversation. We're kind of like, it's like a relaxed environment. I'm just like talking about different kind of paradigm shifting lessons that I had on my journey to making my first $1 million online. So that's also something that you get in the program. And then finally, here's the Econ Freedom Mba, which we just launched. So as I was saying, so we got the mindset stuff, how to think like a successful entrepreneur, a complete lesson on calculated risk, how to focus, right? Most people, they can't focus, especially nowadays. It's just like, with social media and TikTok and things, which is like completely destroys your focus. You can just, you get on TikTok. I've literally caught myself getting on TikTok. Yes, even me, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, but I catch myself getting on TikTok and like 30 minutes pass by and I've literally done nothing. I've just been sucked into the TikTok hole and just like watching all this random crap. 30 minutes that I could have used on my business. Hey, we're all humans, But yeah, so how to focus, and then it goes into LLC. So like how to legally create your business anywhere, LLC Inc. That's actually an hour lesson. I didn't know that. An hour and 5 minutes, 64 minutes. And then we go into bank accounts, the best credit cards and bank accounts to get from any country. We got like special partner links because we got partnerships with with a lot of organizations, because obviously Ecom Freedom has built up a name. And we have like reps at American Express. We have reps at Chase. So yeah, that's something that I share here in the MBA. How to be resourceful, the most important skill, and then taxes. So US, EU, and UK, Canada, Australia. And then there's like a section on the rest of the world, which is this one. And then how to manage your cash flow, accounting and bookkeeping, and how to hire a professional accountant and bookkeeper. I'm actually going to be adding a lesson here shortly, probably tomorrow or after tomorrow, on how to hire an amazing team. Most people are not at that stage yet, so it's not urgent. But yeah, I'm going to be adding that. So that is what you get in the Econ Freedom program. And you do get updates for life. You get mentorship unlimited with Scott, who has a tremendous amount of e-commerce experience, selling for 6 years, $1 million e-commerce seller, both on Amazon and Shopify. And actually our other head of Shopify, who's going to be on the live next weekend, you guys should tune in on Saturday. It's going to be probably around the same time. We do this between like 12, and today we kind of started late, but usually it's between like 12 and 3 p.m. Eastern. So just look out for it on Saturday to get a notification if you subscribe and hit the bell. Josh, he's our head of Shopify, and he'll be on answering questions. He's also a 7-figure e-commerce seller. And actually both Scott and Josh, both of you guys, selling both on Amazon and Shopify, because that's just how it is. Once you have a 7-figure brand, like you want to have presence on both Amazon and Shopify. So yeah, that's what the program looks like. So, okay, let's take some more questions here. How are you different from Amazing Selling Machine? Oh, this is fantastic. They are way more expensive, but they seem to offer more as well. How would you differentiate from them? Well, first of all, I mean, our program is 5 times less the price. So Amazing Selling Machine is, I think as far as I know, it's $5,000. Right? And I think for a beginner, $5,000 is way too much money. I would never price a course at $5,000 for beginners ever, personally, because it's just too much. And second of all, Amazing Selling Machine, as far as I know, you don't have one-on-one access to $1 million seller via Facebook, via personal Facebook. You don't. And you get that with us here. You get one-on-one access with Scott, and then you get weekly calls with Scott, and you also get calls with myself as well. So not only are we cheaper by 5 times, we also offer way more. Like, I mean, I think that's the best explanation of how we're different. I wouldn't say we're different. We're way better. And, we are a newer company than ASM. I think ASM has been doing it for a long time.
I think they're the originals. Yeah. I think ASM's like the OG, I think they popularized private label courses. They're actually the first. When I got started way back when, that was the first course I got, but it wasn't 5,000 when I got started. Otherwise I never would have gotten it.
Exactly.
Tell you
right?
that. I never would have bought it. There's a lot of similarities as far as their content good, obviously they wouldn't be as successful there if it wasn't good. But I would say as far as price to value is there's no comparison there, right? It's kind of like $1,000, $5,000. There's pretty much all the same, I think they have
but you get more with us. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, they have their own website. I think they have some mentors on there that go on there, but it's not the creators of the course. They don't have any coaching calls from the people that actually started the course, like Matt Clark and I can't remember the other guy's name, Jeff or something, but they've kind of handed it off to other people now these days. But and they can offer, because it's 5,000, you can offer bonus. If it's $5,000, say, hey, you get a bonus when you sign up. You get to use our sourcing agent. We'll source one product for you for free. And then it's kind of like, I can guarantee you that the cost of that is not that much. It's
not $5,000.
So they can kind of bundle these bonuses into the price, make it seem like you're getting a lot for the money. But I promise you, when they put a price tag on it, this is a value of $7,000 and it's included for free. Well, I promise you that they're making a lot of money on that 5,000. It's not coming too much out of that $5,000. They're still making a very high profit on that. So because of the high price point, you kind of add in these extra things and make it seem like it's more valuable, but it's not like the stuff that they're offering isn't valuable, but it's kind of hidden inside of the high price point, right? So it's kind of I think our course has what's most valuable, which is updated course material, and you just updated it, and we'll keep it updated as well. And one-on-one conversations with you and myself every month, plus daily mentorship inside of the group as well. And I think that's the key. If you point out what's going to make you
one-on-one Facebook mentorship too. Yeah, Facebook
exactly. And I think that's if you're going to point out what's going to give you the biggest shot of success, that's what it's going to be. You can kind of add in extra little things to make it seem more enticing. And at that price point, you kind of have to. You kind of have to. If you're going to have someone spend $5,000, you kind of have to be oh, you're going to get, sourcing agent, or you're going to get, this. Because you have to kind of make it seem a little bit more enticing for that price.
It's a value proposition. Yeah. Like Scott said, and all those points, were all very valid. The sourcing thing, it's and we got people in here who are vouching for it. I mean, you got Darren, we got Mary. They're all saying the course is A1. So, we got students coming in because, we got, I think 15, I don't remember how many, but we have tens of thousands of members. But, in Ecom Freedom, and we're growing every day, which is amazing. The fact that to even get to this level, I never would have dreamed of years ago. And from all over the world, people from all over the world, it's amazing. But I was talking about the fact that, yeah, $5,000, they do have to like, there's like sourcing stuff and, we'll source one product for you. And then they put the value, like, they can write it like, oh, the value of this is like 3,000. Well, if you actually went and found a sourcing agent yourself, let's say, and paid for it, it would not have been 3,000, So that's the thing. It's like, if our mission at Ecom Freedom is to build the number one platform, like change the most amount of people's lives, make this the most accessible, and like, well, we're not going to make it free, because then, no one's going to, we're not going to have a business, and like, neither me nor Scott nor anyone else is going to, you can't, this is not like a library, right? It's, no one, in this world, you get what you pay for, right? And it's like, we live in a world of like value for value, right? And people only pay for something if they see more value in the thing that they're paying for than the money that they have. And, like I would say with our program, the value is tremendously more than the 1,000 that you're paying. And yeah, the free trial is coming in the next 2 weeks. I'm super excited for that, because everyone will be able to join and see and check it out for themselves. So yeah,
I think just real quick on the free trial, I think I don't know of any right now, at least, maybe. I don't know if there's any Amazon course that kind of offers a free trial like that. Off the top of my head, I'm not totally sure.
No,
but,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah. But I mean, and I get it. Like, there's even at $1,000, there's always a hesitation to buy something for that price point, right? You're kind of always like, yeah, is it good? Because there's so many bad courses out there. I think a lot of people are hesitant. Like, they're kind of like, oh, this isn't up to date, or it's kind of old material, which on Amazon, it's true. Like, what was working a year ago or 2 years ago is not going to work now, because Amazon updates its policies. How you rank changes. Used to be 99 off coupons and using a blast service like Viral Launch or something. And
which I don't know, are they still around? I have no idea if
they are, but they pivoted to like software and stuff. They don't really do the launch anymore. But which I kind of miss, because I was on their email list for the opposite end of like receiving the product deals, and it's kind of addicting to get all these products for like $1, $2. So you're kind of like, oh, I don't really need this. Where you're like, oh, I can get this for, it's $20, so I can get it for $1. And like, I got like so much stuff, and I kind of miss it, because I'd get like supplements, like I get a bunch of stuff that I would actually want and buy, but I was getting it for like $1, and it was amazing. But that just doesn't work anymore. So that kind of went away. But yeah, so you have to keep it up to date. And I think the trial at least show like, hey, like the quality, maybe don't get the whole course, but at least you can see like the quality of what's in there first.
And by the way, it's just some more like clarity on the free trial, how that is going to work exactly, which I'm going to show you right now. Just from the program, I'll show you what you guys are going to get. So here's the program. So once you join, and by the way, we're also working on our own course platform. So right now the course is hosted on a service called Teachable, which is what we've been using for several years. But we've been working with dedicated software developer and a UX UI designer on the team, and they're full-time at Ecom Freedom. And we've been working on our own platform, on our own website, just to make the experience better for students. So that's coming out as well, actually, in the next 2 months. So you'll have access to that too. Like it's massive, the things that we're doing that are so far ahead of the industry and anyone else that, you'll see, for anyone that is still going to be in the industry, that they're still kind of like looking at courses, maybe you're not going to buy something right now, you'll see who the clear winner is going to be very, very soon, I think. So, but this is the program, and in the free trial, you're actually going to get module 1 here. So the whole welcome modules that's going to talk about, basically like the initial mindset stuff, how the program works, how to guarantee success as much as possible. Obviously you can't like guarantee it, but I talk about that, how to increase your chances the most, how to access the mentorship, the mindset of a 7-figure Amazon entrepreneur. What country should you sell in? Because that's a common question most people have. I had the same question, and you probably had. Well, you're American, I'm Canadian. So, if you're American, probably you're like, yeah, automatically USA, right? Scott? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think if you're not US, then probably, that's more of a question, because that like America is the most lucrative, like the market where you make the most money. That's a question that I actually made the mistake of starting on Amazon Canada. And that it's a whole other topic, or whole other video. I think I talked about it a lot on my channel, but I made the mistake of starting in Canada. And at the time it was a very small market, and I launched a product and basically like no demand. And actually my product got seized by like Health Canada, because Canada has all these crazy regulations that I didn't even know. And the courses that we're in, they didn't talk about it, which we obviously talk about, like the regulations that you should pay attention to. So yeah, that's covered in module 1. And then you also get module 2. So like actually getting your business set up. So you'll be able to actually get your business set up. I'll show you how to like, submit your documents properly. Cause that's the most common reason, the biggest thing stopping beginners from succeeding on Amazon is actually getting their account banned. I mean, Scott, you've spoken with people, right? That's a common thing, right?
Yeah, they just have issues with getting verified, having the proper documents to send in, or not really understanding like what's missing from what they're sending in. It's like, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with this? And, following the precise directions that Amazon is basically outlined to say, this is what you need to do to get approved. And just making sure you have all that in place, and knowing what you do if you live in, if you're living in Russia compared to if you're living in Canada, compared to if you're living in, South Africa or Australia or the US, right? Each one will have a little bit different depending on what country and on how you kind of set up your business. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we went so like in depth into this topic on this in module 2, which you'll get access to for free as part of the free trial. And then also talking about what to do if you do get auto suspended, because Amazon, it's all mostly automatic. And, if you submit documents, because to make yourself a central account, you got to submit like your passport and your ID and like utility bills and things. For a lot of beginners, they'll take a picture of their passport and like their thumb is like in the picture, or like there's a glare or something, And so when they submit it, Amazon, sometimes like they'll just deny it, or sometimes they'll even suspend your account if it's not in the language that Amazon wants it to be in. So we covered that in depth in module 2. And then in the free trial, you'll also get, so you'll also actually be able to find your first product. So you'll get access to the most valuable module of all, I think. Well, that's a debatable topic, but for a beginner, the most valuable module is the elite product research module. So like building your product opportunity list, you're going to find out the best categories, the best product research methods, how to beat your competition from the get-go. Everything is here. So you get access to module 3 as well in the free trial. And the whole goal is to kind of do one module. The whole goal of the program is like one module a week. Obviously in the free trial, I think it's going to be like a 7-day free trial. So you're going to get access to these 3 modules, and you'll also get access to not the mindset course, but the first few videos of the Econ Freedom Mba. So probably up until like 3 or 4 here. So that's what you're gonna get with the free trial. And I think it's, even if you decide not to continue for, any reason, it's still going to be incredibly valuable to you, because it's really, really, and I can't stress this enough, like incredibly important information when you're starting out to really make this right and to really have the highest chance of building a successful business. So, but I guess we can answer some more questions.
I'm just going to answer one question, because one guy's kind of been spamming this question. It'd be pretty fast, but it's more of a Shopify question, and Josh would probably be able to answer this better. But he just said, like, if he's in Russia, so they don't accept Stripe, right? So is that detrimental to his store? And no, I mean, there's people in Russia that sell on Shopify. They're just other payment gate. You just got to get a different payment gateway. I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, you can easily kind of find that info just searching on Google. But there's payment gateways that you just use instead of Stripe. And then, you just plug that into Shopify, and it works just the same.
Absolutely. Like what I always say is, if there's a will, there's a way. And for example, I know that, let's say if you're in Russia, there's a service called TransferWise, and also Payoneer as well. And with TransferWise, you can actually get a US bank account with TransferWise and with Payoneer. One of them, I'm not, because I actually haven't done it myself, because I'm Canadian, and for us it's super easy. We're lucky that way. But basically, like if you're from Russia, you should be able to go on either TransferWise or Payoneer, and you can get like a US bank account that when you're setting up, that way you can set up your Shopify country or Amazon in the US, and then you can put that US bank account in there. And what that does is when you get paid out, that will allow you to get paid on Shopify with Shopify payments, which is basically Stripe. It's like powered by Stripe. And that will deposit the money in there. And then you can like transfer the money in TransferWise to Russian rubles, for example. That's the currency in Russia. And then you can move that into your country. And with TransferWise, it would be at the best possible currency exchange rate in the world, because there is no better currency exchange rate than TransferWise. It's like the fees are incredibly low. I mean, way better than banks. So the point is, if there's a will, there is a way. And like, are there successful e-commerce sellers from Russia? Absolutely. You know, like I don't think it's like, oh no, Russia's just a black hole. There's not a single, successful e-commerce seller. Obviously there are. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I've noticed as well, like this is just kind of a quick, I mean, most people probably listening to this aren't currently selling on Amazon right now, but with TransferWise, you can actually, if you wanted to, you can talk to your Chinese supplier and see if they'll actually take, in their currency. A lot of people pay in US currency as well, but you can see if you can get a cheaper price if you pay in their currency in China. And you can use TransferWise to accomplish that because you get really cheap transaction fees or the conversion fees for it. So you can actually, sometimes you talk to them about it, you can get a cheaper price on your order if you just pay directly in that currency. But yeah, anyways, it's just a quick little.
Yeah, it was incredibly valuable. And I think, and a lot of people, they have, if you're not from the US or Canada, like there should be nothing and that's what we're trying to do. Like we're trying to show with Ecom Freedom, like, it doesn't matter if you're from Russia, or if you're literally from Afghanistan, from anywhere. Like, I literally mentioned Afghanistan in the program. I take Afghanistan as an example of a country that's not super developed. It's not a country where you're like, oh, it's the ideal place to start an e-commerce business from, because of like the limitations of payments and things, but it's still possible. It's still possible. That's the point. Like if there's a will, there's a way. Obviously, it's harder in certain places, but if there's a will, there's a way. Someone asked, for product research, do you recommend Jungle Scout or Helium 10? We're actually partnered up with Jungle Scout, and we've been partnered up with them since day one of Ecom Freedom. And the reason for that is because I've used both. I've used Jungle Scout and Helium 10, and I started with Jungle Scout. And basically, I have much preferred Jungle Scout over this time. They have, in my experience, the most accurate data, and the tools that they have are bar none the best. The only time I used Helium 10 was when Jungle Scout about a year ago, they didn't have like their keyword scout, like the keyword search didn't support the European marketplace, and I needed that for like Germany to launch a product. And so basically I used Helium 10 and for that, but then Jungle Scout was really quick because I told them like, guys, like you should really, because I know the CEO personally, and I know like I know like the people there at Jungle Scout. And so, I kind of have a direct line with them, and I kind of tell them like improvements and things. And so they really, they were quick and they introduced those features. And yeah, so I've always used Jungle Scout, and Helium 10. Actually, it's, from my experience, far less accurate than Jungle Scout. And also, I think it is a little bit cheaper than Jungle Scout, but it's, the price isn't always the best thing that you should kind of base your decision on things. For example, like just to give you an example, there are plenty of $7 Udemy courses on Amazon FBA, but which one is going to, it's like, which one has the higher chance of success? The $7 Udemy course, on Amazon FBA or Udemy, however you say it, or an actual course with proven results with mentorship from $1 million sellers, so that's an example there. So I think it's not always best to base the decision on price, but what do you think, Scott, about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're both good. I've used Helium 10 a lot myself, just because that's kind of what I started with, like way back when. But I think if you're particularly talking about product research, like just the product research stage, I think Jungle Scout is good because, one, it's a cheaper price to get started from the monthly plans, like the comparison between Jungle Scout and Helium 10 for the monthly plan. But once you're up and running your business, there's even beyond Helium 10, there's a ton of options out there. Once you kind of get past that product research stage, there's a lot of software that's amazing. You can look at all of them and kind of figure out which ones fit the features, and maybe Jungle Scout's just fine. You stay with that, you don't have to change. But I would say, like, for product research, I'd probably go with Jungle Scout. But then once you kind of get beyond that, there's tons of options beyond even those two. So yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, and I think it's cool. Like, it's cool to hear both points of view from myself and from Scott. Even though we're on the same team, we're both at Ecom Freedom and mentors in the same course. Like Scott started with Helium 10, I started with Jungle Scout, and so having that kind of like both opinions, now you can make a better decision. But if you are planning on joining us at Ecom Freedom, we do recommend going with Jungle Scout exclusively because it's an all-in-one tool, and also we do have basically the best price you can buy Jungle Scout at, which I think makes it cheaper than Helium 10, even like significantly cheaper. We have an exclusive deal set up for that, which I'm going to put the link down below. After this is done, I'll put the link down below because it's not just for our students, but it's for everyone on my channel. Basically, it was like a special bundle. I'm like, guys, like beginners need there's like, because Jungle Scout has like both tools. They have like the web app and then the Chrome extension. I'm like, beginners need both, so like the best thing to do is to offer like a bundle with like 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months. So that's what, they're like, yeah, that's true. And so that's what they gave only for my viewers and my channel and our students. So I'm going to put that link there below for the Jungle Scout. That I think it will save you a lot of money as opposed to Helium 10 and even just buying Jungle Scout on the site. Jeff is asking, don't want to be surprised after the $999 payment. Is there an upsell after? No, there are no upsells. Like I said, I'm not like the typical like internet guru marketer type guy. Like we only have 2 programs. We have the Amazon program, which is $999 right now, going up to $1,200 in the next 30 to 45 days. And then we have the free trial launching for that in the next 2 weeks. It will still be $999, like I said, going up to $1,200. Then we have the Shopify program, which is $497, going up to $1,000 and then $1,200 as well, because we want that to be the same. There is no upsells. We don't have anything. Do we have things planned in the future? Yes, possibly, like masterminds and things like that. I've always wanted to create the Freedom Mastermind where we get together and we share our knowledge and we kind of, we get together in a cool place. Like I was thinking like Iceland or something when the world opens up again, we kind of get the most successful people in there with e-commerce, all the best e-commerce talent. We got myself, Scott, Josh, the other members of our team. We got half of our staff at Ecom Freedom actually is involved with e-commerce, which is amazing because, it's very rare, I think, in this space that like not the team of the course creators is actually also involved in e-commerce. So but that's in the plans. But no, there's no upsell, Jeff. You pay, you get the program, lifetime access, updates, everything like we talked about. There are no surprises. There are no scammy upsells or anything like that. I hate that shit. Like, believe me, so none of that. Kia says, hi, Dan, just finished your Millionaire Mindset module. Wow, it was extremely good. Thanks. Awesome. I'm glad to hear. I'm actually going to be making a lot more mindset stuff and maybe another free mindset course that I'm going to release in the Econ Freedom program and the Shopify Freedom program, like free for members. We do a lot of stuff free for our members. I don't want to make you guys pay twice. So I'm thinking of doing something like renting out a cabin or something with like my friend who's a professional videographer here in Norway, and then just sitting there and like filming a really in-depth mindset course. That's in my idea, like in the back of my head. So yeah. Dan, do you offer payment options for the course? Yes, we do. We have like a full pay, or we have multiple months. So, if you join and you don't like the program, there's a refund policy, so you don't have to pay the whole thing. That way you're not like, I guess, quote unquote, investing or risking the whole money. Yes, we have payment plans like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, I think is what it was. But yeah, I think we've kind of, I think we can wrap up this live Q&A. We've gone on a long time, and I hope it was valuable. Thank you, Scott, for joining me here today. Thank you for being on here. If you guys want to join Econ Freedom, the link is down below. If you want to join us, you want to join basically like, our mission is to build the #1 platform in the world for this, for online business and for changing people's lives. So you can join us, and then, you'll learn everything you need to know to start a successful Amazon FBA business. Link is down below for that. Free trials coming out in the next 1 to 2 weeks. If you want to wait for that, that's fine too. And then you'll also get mentorship with myself and with Scott, one-on-one on Facebook with Scott, weekly calls with Scott, and bi-weekly calls. We do Ecom Freedom-wide calls with myself. So once again, thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Scott, for being on here. It was an honor and a pleasure to work with you. And if you guys have any questions that I didn't answer, or we didn't answer, you can send an email to, I'll put the email in the live. It's danv@econfreedom.com, and then I'll make sure to respond. So make sure that it's danv, because dan@econfreedom.com doesn't work. So danv@econfreedom.com. I don't know what happened to the Dan ad, but danv is the one that you want to send the email to. And I'll make sure to respond. You can also send me a DM on Instagram @danvas. And I don't know, Scott, if you want to plug your Instagram or not, or yeah.
If you want to, yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, so just Scott, it's just @Scott Suggs.
Yeah, that's Scott
pretty
Suggs.
simple. I've been pretty good. I've been able to get my name for like a lot of stuff, because there's actually another Scott Suggs that's a professional bass fisherman, I guess. So if you search like Scott Suggs on Google, it pulls up all like bass fishermen. There's like some basketball player that had my same name as well, but I've been pretty good at getting like all of my like domain name. I have my domain name. I have my Instagram handle. Let me double check.
Yeah. So
actually. So I
at
was like,
Scott
I
Suggs on
would say, I was like,
Instagram. Yeah. And you guys, if you guys can send a DM to Scott, cause he's part of the team and, he'll be happy to answer as well. Just if you guys have any questions, you want to speak to Scott, 'cause he'll be like, he's the head of Amazon. He'll be like the mentor that you'll be working close with. And as I mentioned before, a successful, accomplished $1 million e-commerce seller. Just make sure that you're not messaging the bass fisherman Scott Suggs. Make sure you're messaging the correct one. So because I don't think the bass fisherman will be able to help with Amazon or Shopify. Once again, thank you guys for being on. We'll be on next Saturday with Josh, our head of Shopify, and he's also $1 million e-commerce seller on Shopify and on Amazon as well. So thank you guys. Thank you, Scott.